Hey everyone, it's Adrienne here. How's it going? I just wanted to stop by and check in with you for the week. I didn't make it in the end of the week last week. I was feeling a lot of physical discomfort and was processing some personal things and just a really intense energy for me personally as I am making this transition. Just a lot of releasing, a lot of letting go of old paradigms and old ways of relating to the world, not just mentally, um, but emotionally, and then also how it shows up in my body physically. So I've been really feeling it rise in my body and taking the steps of self care to um, be a witness, serve as a witness to this process. And it's really interesting the way that it arose this week. I've been doing this sort of work for over 20 years, and first on my own personal journey, and then throughout my spiritual training, my meditation practice, my yoga practice. And I remember 20 years ago when I met with a um, alternative health practitioner, and she had made a joke with me. She said um, that she had asked me, I'm going to plug in my mic. I forgot to plug in my mic. She had made a joke saying that she said, me and my meditation community have a saying that we've only been meditating for 20 years. We've only just begun the journey. And at the time I guess I kind of got what she was talking about, but now that I've been meditating for 20 years, I understand that it is like peeling an onion. You just keep going into your own awareness and consciousness itself on a deeper and deeper level. And so for me, this week, what was arising was the unwritten history of the self, and it's invisible, and we all have a version of it. And so this was my fascination with storytelling and poetry and writing and literature and the hero's journey, because in those stories people were telling their story and it was being validated and recognized. And as they were telling their story, they were validating their experience. And this week I had an opportunity to go back through my own timelines, my own story, and shift the perspective of who was telling the story. And so most of the time I saw my story from the outside. And when you're looking from the outside, it kind of dismisses the whole internal experience of a character, in this case me. And so I was there with my younger self who had experienced certain events in my life. And I was able to come back as an adult with all the wisdom, the context, the knowledge, the spiritual development that I've done, and be with that younger self. And this is part of the reparenting project that I've spoken about, and see it from that child's perspective and validate it as being valuable and valid and just as weighty as the outside story that was occurring. And I was able to see that my personal story, when you're in a relationship, I like to think of it like a figure 8, and you have two parties in a relationship. And if it's a healthy relationship, you have both parties are able to see and acknowledge the construct and experience of the other person in the relationship. But what happens a great deal of the time as part of our social conditioning as a parent-child relationship is that the child's experience is not validated, witnessed, seen, or acknowledged. And therefore, one half of that 8 is taken away and the other side gets really big and overemphasized. And this is what I call the outside view. And so I had the experience of coming back to fill up that other side of the 8 and validate my own experience and acknowledge exactly what I was going through, because the people around me did not have the resources or the ability to do that at the time. And it was a one-sided view of the world. And so therefore, it began to reflect, or I perceived it as a reflection of who I was, like who I am and what I'm doing, and what I feel doesn't matter. And that's a heavy burden to bear in life. And so part of my healing journey, specific to me, is going back and integrating all of this experience through different eyes, right? I can't remember who said it. I think it was Virginia Woolf, but I'm sure many people have said it many different ways and different times. But she said something like, things are never only one thing, or there's always 2 versions. Like there's always more than one thing, right? Depending on who's looking at it. And we have, in fact, that's what I ended up doing my whole master's thesis on, was the monolithic perspective of logic and reason, and how that really disconnected from the other aspect of ourselves, which is the emotion and the feeling that is informing underneath the logic, but it's not recognized, it's not acknowledged. And it's just as important, right? Because it's the layer of our biological experience. So this is the power of trauma, is that it's invisible. Your emotions are invisible. Your perceptions of the world are invisible. So the incredible thing about trauma is it's the invisible hurt that occurs because it's an unseen. But it doesn't mean that it's not real, or that it doesn't have a really powerful effect on people for the entirety of their lives. And so as I go back through the timelines in my life, as part of a clearing process that's occurring in me right now, all those unfelt emotions, because I was at a level as a child, a level of unconsciousness, because I was in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you can't be fully present to your experience. And then on top of that, another layer is that you can't be present to your experience if it creates discomfort for your caretakers, the ones that you rely on for your safety, health, and well-being, just your physical health and safety and well-being. And not necessarily your emotional well-being, because you don't even have that distinction as a child. And so that level of unconsciousness is just pushed down. And for me now, it's all arising from the depths, whether I like it or not. It's happening. It's like, when a seed chooses to germinate, this is what's happening. It's all those unfelt, unseen, unacknowledged emotions and experiences are coming to the surface. And it's like boiling something, right? When you boil something, it pulls, like making coffee, right? When you put hot water over the beans, it steeps them and it brings the flavor and the juice out. And so, as a metaphor, like that's what's happening to me on a multiple levels, because none of this is separate, right? You have your physical, your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, and they're all layers of the same existence, dynamically unfolding. So this is occurring for me right now personally, and while it's personal, very personal, and it's, not necessarily an easy thing to be purged of years of unseen, unfelt emotion. It is also just part of a bigger picture, a bigger collective that is in the process of learning or starting to acknowledge like the power of the invisible epidemic, which is trauma. It's invisible, so it's almost like it didn't happen, but it did, because it's stored in your body, and your body doesn't forget, it doesn't lie. And so just because you push down an emotion doesn't mean that it goes away. It lays dormant until an appropriate time for it to emerge. And you can do this unconsciously in relationship by being triggered, so you have an opportunity to move that emotion through your body. But if it's done so unconsciously, it just reinforces that negative karmic pattern. So the thing about integrative awareness coaching is when you start bringing awareness to this process, you're no longer doing this clearing unconsciously and reinforcing negative reactive patterns. You're actually seeing them as an opportunity to heal that wound that caused the trigger, so you can move out that energy on purpose with the love and the compassion and the acknowledgement that it deserves. And so it's like I was telling one of my colleagues the other day, maybe it was today, it's like all the uncried tears, like don't cry all the times. Like say, for example, my parents told me not to cry. Like those tears don't go away. They just get pushed down for another day. And then the wellspring starts to emerge. And then there is weeping. And the weeping is personal and impersonal, because it's a life remembering itself. And so it's like I personally am in the process of relearning how to be myself, because I never really got to learn, because I had to repress a lot of it. And like I've said lots and lots of times, I don't think I'm particularly that unusual or unique. I am just have a particular bird's eye view of this experience. I've been intentionally stepping through it. I've been studying, I've been learning, I've been practicing for years. And this is part of my life journey. And as I have done this work, I'm here to share it with others and guide them on their journey of healing. Because it is a initiation, it is a rite of passage, where one begins to step into the true, authentic substance of who they are, and all that other karmic personality or ego structures start to fall away, and it can feel very scary, very destabilizing. And so tomorrow, which is Tuesday, November the 24th, I'm going to be doing a special 1-hour class, as I mentioned, entitled From Ego to Essence. And I'm going to be looking at how all of these ego structures affect our ability to manifest abundance. And I'm not necessarily just talking about, the collecting of material objects. I'm talking about creating a life that you love on every level. It may include material objects, but not as a central motivation, but as a byproduct. Those items can't help but but be attracted to you, because this energy of manifestation and abundance is your natural state of being, and it's just a product of it's just a matter of moving out all the junk in your house, your psyche, your body, your emotions that have been taking up space. They're old and garbage that need to be moved out. And so in order to do that, they have to be felt, they have to be seen, they have to be heard. And then they can return and get out of the way. And then once they do, your consciousness on all levels begins to become attuned and aligned to that energy, which is you, which is life unfolding. It is the energy of the universe that, as I wrote about in one of my daily posts, the play of creation, it is the thing that beats your heart. It is the thing that holds the planets in place. It is the thing that digests your food. It's just this innate intelligence that is not found in any university or any book. It is a truly lived, embodied experience that goes beyond logic or reason. It's not limited by logic or reason. It's simply life expressing. And this is the juicy, yummy part of life that many of us have had to put away and ignore. And that's the part that's becoming re-embodied, re-alivened in me through all this clearing work that I've been doing with myself and supporting others in doing this work. It's not like a one-shot deal. Like I said, a lot of people just want, a manifesting strategy. And a lot of these motivations are based on ego structures of, if I have this car, I will, feel okay with myself. I'll feel like I've arrived. And then you get the car and you're like, feel really happy, for a couple months maybe. And then you're like, what's next? Because it's insatiable, like this insatiable trying to feel like it's never enough. And it's not, because for many, they're putting their worth into objects and their well-being into objects. And then that is a distortion of your true nature. And so, anyways, I just wanted to share that with you and re-invite you tomorrow at I think I said 10 a.m. I'm going to have to double check my invitation. Let's see. I'm sorry, you guys. It is, yes, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow at tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I just got a message about a house that I just put an offer on. Speaking of abundance. All right, I hope you can join me. I'm going to be in my private Quantum Abundance Play Space group. So I'll put the link in the comments and also in the description of this video because that's where it's going to be. So you need to join the group. And I'll see you at 10 a.m. I hope you can make it. Even if you can't make it live, if you join the group, you can see the replay. Okay? Sending you lots of love. Bye for now.